Hi! Welcome to the Retelling and Writing video for Reading Explorer Book 1, Lesson 8b, The Tale of the Seven Ravens. When looking for the main idea, ask yourself, what is the most important thing the author wants me to know? Today, this might be a little bit tricky, because normally the readings that we examine in our lessons are fiction. Today's reading is a fairy tale. That's fantasy, nonfiction. So be extra careful when you're looking for information today. You can still check the first and last sentences of each paragraph, too. When looking for details, look for ideas and information that support the main idea. Be specific. Here is my retelling of A Tale of Seven Ravens. Yours should be similar to, but not exactly the same as mine. I think the main idea goes like this. A man and a woman had 8 children, 7 boys and 1 girl. Magic and mystery affected the family when the boys suddenly turned into ravens. Their little sister spent years searching for them. Do you think this is the main idea? I think it gives a good summary of the story without giving away too many important details. What do you think? The first supporting detail I chose was the daughter was very pretty and her parents loved her very much. The second detail I chose was the boys vanished after the father cursed them by saying, "I wish they were all turned into ravens." Can you see how this second detail supports my line in the main idea where I said that magic and mystery affected the family? The third detail I chose is that the girl spent years searching for her brothers. I didn't include any information about what happened when the girl finally found her brothers and how she got into the house. But you can include those details in your retelling if you want to. I wonder how many years passed as the sister searched for her brothers. And how old were all of these siblings? The daughter was the youngest, right? If we knew her age, that might help us guess how old the brothers might be. When you're ready, you can record your retelling. Let's move on to the writing portion of today's video. Boy, oh boy, this is exciting. Remember how last week we wrote a fairy tale? Well, this week we are going to rewrite the fairy tale, but this time we're going to use first-person perspective. Here's what I mean. Most fairy tales are written in third-person perspective or third-person point of view. This is when a narrator is telling the story. The narrator is not in the story, but they are telling you what is happening. Third-person point of view, or perspective, uses pronouns like he, she, his, hers, its, they, and their. That's what we did last week when we wrote our fairy tales. We wrote them in third-person point of view. Today we're going to rewrite the fairy tale using first-person point of view. This is when a character in the story is telling the story. And I want you to pretend that you are that character. So choose a character from your fairy tale that you wrote last time and be that person, or animal, or talking rock, or whatever it is. Don't forget to change the pronouns to ones like these: I, me, my, we, us. You get the idea. To give you an idea of what this will look and sound like, let's go ahead and review my fairy tale, which I have already rewritten. Same as last time, we'll use the hamburger format again. Boy, oh boy, this thing is great. Here's my introduction. My name is Prince Pomono, and I live in an enchanted castle by the crystal sea. Something very strange has happened. It's quite a story. So you can see right away that the narrator is the person telling the story. In this case, it's Prince Pomono. Last week I wrote a fairy tale about a princess named Pomona, but I changed the character a little bit since I would be the one telling the story. I was swimming in the crystal sea as I love to do. I often swim for hours. Well, on this day I swam so far that I could no longer see the shore. I was frightened and began to call for help. So I've basically just reworded the second paragraph of my fairy tale, which is the beginning section where I also introduce the problem. I changed some of the details and the pronouns, so that instead of third person point of view, the fairy tale is now being told in first person point of view. Does that make sense? The sun was setting and I was terrified. So I nearly didn't believe it when I heard a monstrous voice answer my cries. It was a great dragon. The dragon swooped down from above and plucked me quickly but skillfully from the waters. Do you remember this part of the fairy tale from last week? I have to ask, which version do you prefer? Do you prefer last week's version, which was told in third person point of view, or this week's, which is first person? I think first person is a little bit more exciting. Now, safely on the shore, I must say that it all happened so fast. The dragon and I shared words, but I was very frightened, so I can't remember what words were spoken. Now, I believe the dragon made me promise something, but perhaps I can just ignore this little detail? I am very tired from my adventures, and now I must return home. Hopefully, the dragon will forget about our meeting on this day. Uh-oh, this sounds like a recipe for disaster. Anyway, it's the same story as last week, as you know. Which version, in your opinion, is more interesting and exciting? The moral of my fairy tale is the same. Be careful with your promises. That's all for today's lesson. I really enjoyed reading about Grimm's fairy tales and jumping into their fantastic world with A Tale of Seven Ravens. I hope you enjoyed yourself too. And remember, think before you make a promise, and if you do, you should keep your promise. Until next time, bye-bye.